Most people react the same way when they see a centipede in the basement. A quick movement in the corner of the room, too many legs, a sudden dash across the floor, and within seconds the decision is already made. Get rid of it. But what if that strange creature disappearing into the shadows is not a problem at all? What if it is one of the hardest working animals in your entire house? Tonight, while the lights are off and the rooms are silent, an invisible world will begin to wake up beneath your feet. Tiny hunters will leave their hiding places. Insects will move through cracks in the walls. Some will search for food, others will search for places to lay eggs. Most people never see any of it, yet hidden among them is a predator that has been quietly patrolling homes long before most homeowners even knew it was there. The surprising part is that this animal is not hunting your food. It is hunting the creatures you would never want to find. And the deeper scientists looked into its secret life, the stranger the story became. Because the centipede's speed is only the beginning, the way it hunts, navigates darkness, senses movement, and survives inside human homes reveals a hidden system that most people never realize exists. By the end of this video, you may never look at your basement the same way again. And if the natural world has ever made you stop and wonder what is really happening just beyond your attention, subscribe, because some of nature's most fascinating stories are unfolding in places we pass every single day without noticing. The next time you walk into your basement late at night, try something unusual. Pause for a moment before turning on the light. Stand quietly and listen. At first, nothing seems to be happening. The room feels empty. Just concrete walls, storage boxes, old shelves, maybe a water heater humming softly in the corner. But the strange thing about basements is that they are never as empty as they appear. Hidden behind walls, beneath floorboards, and inside tiny cracks too small to notice, another world exists alongside ours. Most of the time, it remains invisible. Then the light comes on, and for a brief second, you catch a glimpse of one of its residents. A centipede races across the floor and vanishes beneath a shelf. The encounter lasts only a moment, yet that tiny flash of movement is often enough to make people uncomfortable. There is something about the way a centipede moves that immediately grabs our attention. Perhaps it is the dozens of legs working together with impossible coordination. Perhaps it is the speed. Or maybe it is simply because the animal looks so different from the creatures we encounter every day. Many people assume that if something looks unusual, it must be dangerous. But nature rarely follows human assumptions. In fact, the very reason centipedes appear in basements has little to do with people at all. They are not interested in your furniture. They do not care about your belongings. They are not trying to invade your living space. They are following something else entirely. And once you understand what that is, the entire story begins to look different. A basement offers exactly the conditions many small creatures need to survive. It is cool. It is dark. It is often slightly damp. Tiny insects can find shelter there year-round. Silverfish hide behind stored boxes. Small spiders build webs in forgotten corners. Ants occasionally explore through cracks in the foundation. Sometimes even cockroaches find their way inside. Most homeowners never notice these visitors because they are active when people are asleep. But hidden prey attracts hidden predators. And this is where the centipede enters the story. What looks like a random appearance is often anything but random. That animal is there because something else is there first. In many ways, seeing a centipede is like finding a clue. It suggests that an entire ecosystem may already exist inside the building. The fascinating part is that most people only notice the predator. They rarely stop to think about what the predator is hunting. Imagine the basement after midnight. The house is quiet, everyone is asleep, the lights are off, temperatures drop slightly. Insects begin emerging from places that seemed empty just hours before. Tiny movements occur along walls and beneath objects. For most creatures, darkness provides safety, but for the centipede, darkness is opportunity. Unlike humans, it does not need bright light to function. It has evolved for a completely different world, a world of vibrations, air currents, chemical traces, and subtle signals that remain completely unnoticed by us. This means that while a person might see only an empty basement, a centipede experiences a landscape full of information. Every crack could hide prey. Every surface may carry clues about recent movement. Every corner tells a story. And this is where things become even more interesting, because the centipede is not simply wandering around at random. Its movements may look chaotic to us, but there is a purpose behind them. Scientists studying these animals have discovered that they are remarkably efficient hunters. They constantly patrol their environment, searching for signs of food. When prey is detected, their behavior changes almost instantly. Speed replaces caution. What happens next usually lasts only seconds. Most people never witness these encounters because they occur during the quietest hours of the night. Yet they are happening all around us. In a sense, the basement transforms after dark into something closer to a miniature wilderness than a storage room. Predators search. Prey hides. Countless interactions unfold without a single human observer. And among the fastest hunters in that hidden world is the creature most homeowners are eager to eliminate. But there is another detail that makes this story even stranger. The centipede's unusual appearance is not an accident. Those long legs that many people find unsettling serve a very specific purpose. In fact, they help explain why this animal is able to survive where so many others fail. And once you understand what those legs are actually doing, you begin to realize that the centipede is one of the most specialized hunters ever to move through a human home. At first glance, the centipede seems almost badly designed. There are too many legs, too many moving parts, and far too much motion happening at once. Yet the more closely scientists study these animals, the more they discover that nearly every feature serves a purpose. Those long legs that appear awkward are actually one of the secrets behind the centipede's success. A house centipede can move with remarkable speed, often covering walls, ceilings, and floors with ease. While many insects struggle when they encounter smooth surfaces, the centipede seems almost unaffected. It can race upward, turn sharply, and disappear into places that seem impossible to reach. To a small insect hiding in the darkness, this makes it an incredibly difficult predator to escape. But speed alone is not enough to explain what makes the centipede so effective. The truly fascinating part is how it experiences the world around it. Humans rely heavily on sight. We enter a room and immediately build a picture of our surroundings using our eyes. A centipede operates very differently. Its world is built from tiny signals that most people never notice. Vibrations moving through surfaces, changes in airflow, faint chemical traces left behind by passing insects. The basement that appears silent to us is filled with information to a hunting centipede. Every movement creates clues. Every insect leaves evidence of its presence. And over millions of years, centipedes have become experts at reading those clues. Imagine a silverfish creeping across a basement floor in complete darkness. It may believe it is alone. There are no lights, no obvious threats. The room appears safe. Yet somewhere nearby, a centipede is already detecting signs of activity. Not because it can clearly see the silverfish from across the room, but because nature has equipped it to notice details that would be invisible to us. This is one reason why centipedes often seem to appear from nowhere. In reality, they are constantly gathering information from their environment. They know far more about what is happening around them than we realize. The strange part is that many homeowners only encounter centipedes when the hunt is already underway. The quick dash across a wall may actually represent the final stage of a pursuit that began minutes earlier. Somewhere nearby, prey has been detected. The centipede is responding. And what happens next is usually over before a human observer can understand what they are seeing. But there is another detail that makes these hunters unusual. Unlike spiders, which often wait for prey to come to them, house centipedes actively patrol. They are explorers. Night after night, they move through hidden pathways inside buildings, behind stored objects, along foundation walls, through utility spaces, beneath shelves, across forgotten corners that humans rarely visit. In many ways, they function like silent inspectors, constantly searching for signs of life. This behavior creates a surprising effect inside homes. While most people think of their house as a single environment, many animals experience it as a collection of separate habitats. A damp corner beneath a sink may support one group of organisms. A storage area filled with cardboard boxes may attract another. Tiny spaces inside walls can become highways for insects moving throughout the structure. The centipede moves between these hidden worlds, connecting them through its nightly patrols. And this is where a simple basement encounter begins to reveal something much larger. Because the centipede is not just part of an ecosystem. In some ways, it helps regulate that ecosystem. Consider what happens when prey populations increase. More silverfish, more small insects, more creatures finding shelter indoors. For a predator, this means more opportunities. The centipede responds by hunting more frequently. Nature creates a balance. Not a perfect balance, but enough to prevent certain populations from growing unchecked. Most homeowners never witness this process directly. They only see the occasional centipede and assume it is the problem. Yet the presence of a predator often suggests the existence of a larger, hidden story, one that begins long before the predator arrives. Scientists have documented house centipedes feeding on a surprisingly wide variety of pests. Small cockroaches, silverfish, ants, moths, termites, and even other spiders can become targets. This means that a single centipede may interact with dozens or even hundreds of prey animals over time. Each hunt is small, easy to overlook, but together, those hunts form an invisible service taking place throughout the building. The irony is that many people spend money trying to remove pests while simultaneously eliminating one of the predators already helping control them. Yet perhaps the most surprising thing is how little we know about these nightly encounters. Most occur in darkness, most leave no obvious trace. Entire dramas unfold while the house remains quiet and still. A silverfish escapes, an ant finds shelter, a spider builds a web. A centipede begins another patrol. Hidden lives intersect for a few brief moments before disappearing again into the shadows. And if that sounds impressive, it is only the beginning. Because among all the strange abilities centipedes possess, there is one that transforms them from fast hunters into something far more remarkable. A biological weapon so effective that even creatures larger than themselves can become prey. And once you understand how it works, the centipede starts to look less like a strange basement visitor and more like one of the most specialized predators living inside the modern home. To understand why the centipede is such an effective hunter, you have to look beyond the legs. The real secret is hidden near the front of its body. Most people assume all those moving limbs serve the same purpose, but two of them are different. Over millions of years, the first pair evolved into specialized tools designed for capturing prey. They function almost like natural grasping arms, allowing the centipede to seize insects before they can escape. And attached to these structures is something even more remarkable: venom. The word itself often makes people uneasy, yet in nature, venom is simply another survival tool. For the centipede, it turns a fast hunter into a highly efficient one. When prey is caught, the venom helps immobilize it quickly. The process is usually over within moments. Silent, precise, hidden from view. Most homeowners never witness it happening. Yet somewhere inside walls, beneath shelves, or along basement floors, these encounters occur night after night. The fascinating thing is that the centipede rarely wastes energy. Unlike larger predators that may spend hours searching for food, it operates in an environment packed with opportunities. Every crack can hide insects. Every forgotten corner may contain movement. The basement becomes a hunting ground filled with potential meals. And because the centipede is active when many other creatures are active, it often encounters prey exactly when they feel safest. But nature rarely creates simple stories. The deeper scientists look into the hidden lives of small predators, the more complex everything becomes. Consider this surprising fact. A centipede is not always the hunter. Sometimes it becomes the hunted. Spiders, larger insects, reptiles, birds, and even small mammals may prey upon centipedes under the right circumstances. This creates an endless chain of interactions. Every creature occupies multiple roles at once: predator and prey, hunter and hunted, survivor and meal. The basement ecosystem may seem small, but it follows many of the same rules that shape forests, deserts, and oceans. Every organism influences another. Every movement sends consequences through the system. And this leads to an even stranger realization. Many of the animals sharing our homes have evolved alongside humans for generations. Not because they depend on us directly, but because our buildings accidentally create habitats. Warm walls, stable temperatures, shelter from weather, hidden moisture, tiny passageways. In some ways, modern houses have become ecosystems of their own. We build them for ourselves, yet countless smaller creatures quietly adapt to life within them. The centipede is one of the most successful examples. It has learned how to navigate a world of concrete, wood, insulation, pipes, and storage rooms. It thrives in spaces that humans barely think about. And some researchers believe this adaptability is one reason house centipedes have spread so successfully across different regions. They are not tied to a single environment. They simply follow opportunity wherever it appears. What makes this especially fascinating is the level of awareness they seem to display while hunting. Of course, a centipede does not think like a human. It is not planning strategies or making conscious decisions the way we imagine. Yet its behavior often appears surprisingly sophisticated. It responds rapidly to changing situations. It adjusts direction. It reacts to movement almost instantly. It can navigate cluttered environments at high speed while avoiding obstacles. All of this emerges from millions of years of evolutionary refinement. Nature does not design with blueprints. It experiments endlessly. Small advantages accumulate over time. Tiny improvements survive generation after generation. Eventually, a creature emerges that seems perfectly suited to its role. The centipede is one of those creatures. Every part of its body tells the story of survival. But perhaps the most surprising discovery comes when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Because the centipede is not the only hidden hunter operating after dark. Entire communities of predators become active while people sleep. Spiders patrol webs. Beetles search for prey. Tiny parasitic insects investigate hosts. Mites move through microscopic landscapes invisible to the naked eye. Beneath the calm appearance of an ordinary home exists a world of constant activity, a world where every creature is solving problems, avoiding danger, searching for food, and responding to countless challenges. The centipede simply happens to be one of the few members of this hidden community large enough for us to notice. And perhaps that is why it attracts so much attention. It serves as a visible reminder that we are surrounded by life we rarely see. Yet there is one final twist in this story. The more people learn about centipedes, the more their initial reaction often changes. Fear gives way to curiosity. Discomfort becomes fascination. Because once you understand what the centipede is actually doing, it becomes difficult to see it as just a creepy basement visitor. Instead, it begins to resemble something else entirely. A silent guardian moving through forgotten spaces. A hunter performing a job that most people never asked for and rarely acknowledge. And when you realize how many hidden processes are unfolding around you every night, a simple basement suddenly feels much larger than it did before. The walls seem less empty, the shadows seem more alive, and you begin to wonder what other stories are unfolding there when nobody is watching. If you think about it, the entire story begins with a misunderstanding. A person walks into a basement, sees a centipede, and assumes they understand what they are looking at. The animal appears strange, unfamiliar, perhaps even unwelcome. Yet over the last few minutes we have followed that creature into a hidden world and discovered something very different. What seemed like a random visitor turned out to be part of an invisible system operating around us every day. And perhaps that is the most fascinating lesson nature offers. The closer we look, the less ordinary things become. A basement is no longer just a basement. It is a landscape, a network of tiny habitats connected by cracks, shadows, and forgotten spaces. The walls contain journeys. The corners contain stories. The silence contains movement. Even now, while you are watching this video, countless small lives are unfolding somewhere nearby. Not because nature exists far away in remote forests or distant mountains, but because it exists everywhere. It always has. Humans often imagine themselves separated from the natural world. We build houses, we create cities, we fill our environments with technology. Yet nature never truly disappears. It adapts. It settles into available spaces. It finds opportunities hidden within the structures we create. Birds nest beneath bridges. Insects live inside walls. Spiders stretch webs between forgotten objects. And centipedes continue their quiet patrols through the darkness. The remarkable thing is that most of these lives remain completely invisible until something briefly crosses our path. A movement in the corner of a room, a shadow on a wall, a flash of motion beneath a shelf. For a second, two worlds meet. Then they separate again. The human returns to daily life, the centipede disappears into the darkness. Yet the hidden activity never stops. In many ways, this is what makes nature so endlessly fascinating. There is always more happening than we realize. Every environment contains layers upon layers of interactions that remain unnoticed until curiosity encourages us to look closer. The centipede is a perfect example. Most people spend years seeing them without ever asking a simple question. What is it actually doing? And once that question is asked, an entire chain of discoveries follows. We learn about hidden predators, hidden prey, hidden ecosystems, hidden relationships. One small question opens a door into a much larger world. Scientists experience this constantly. Some of the most important discoveries begin with observations that seem insignificant. A strange behavior, an unusual movement, a detail that most people ignore. Curiosity turns ordinary moments into opportunities for understanding. Nature rewards those who pay attention, not because every answer is dramatic, but because every answer reveals another layer of complexity. The centipede reminds us of this in a surprisingly powerful way. It teaches us that appearance and reality are often very different things. What initially seems unpleasant may actually be useful. What appears simple may be extraordinarily complex. What feels familiar may contain mysteries we have never considered before. The next time you find yourself in a basement, garage, crawl space, or storage room, you may notice something you overlooked before. Not necessarily a centipede, perhaps a spiderweb catching tiny particles drifting through the air. Perhaps a moth resting silently near a light. Perhaps a trail of ants following a path known only to them. Each observation offers a glimpse into a hidden story already in progress. The world becomes more interesting when we stop assuming we have seen everything. Because the truth is that most of life happens beyond the edges of our attention. Entire communities exist in places we rarely examine. Entire dramas unfold without audiences. Predators hunt, prey escapes. Generations are born and disappear. Tiny decisions shape tiny lives every single night, and all of it continues whether humans notice or not. There is something strangely comforting about that idea. The natural world does not require our awareness to exist. It simply continues, quietly, patiently, constantly. Long after the lights are turned off and the house becomes still, life keeps moving through the darkness. Somewhere behind a wall, an insect searches for shelter. Somewhere beneath a shelf, a spider waits. Somewhere in a hidden crack, a centipede begins another patrol. The house seems asleep, but another world remains awake. Perhaps that is why the centipede captures our imagination once we understand its story. Not because it is the most beautiful creature, not because it is the largest or the rarest, but because it reveals something larger than itself. It reminds us that the ordinary world is far less ordinary than it appears. That wonder often hides in overlooked places, that curiosity can transform discomfort into fascination, and that sometimes the most important creature in the room is the one nobody notices. So if you ever see a centipede disappear across your basement floor, you might pause for a moment before reacting, because what just vanished into the shadows is not simply a strange animal with too many legs. It is a glimpse into an ancient hidden world that has been operating quietly beside us all along. A world full of hunters, survivors, invisible connections, and stories waiting to be discovered by anyone willing to look a little closer. And once you begin looking closer, you may realize that nature was never far away. It was living beside you the entire time.